And if you like Led Zeppelin, you can't make fun of Get It Lee.
Yeah.
You just can't. You're wrong.
So we're both huge Rush fans, and we've got tickets to see the band live for the very first time next year. So in the run-up, we're doing this little series called The Road to Rush, where once a week we go through every single Rush album for the first time in chronological order. This week we've got the band's first ever studio album from 1974, simply titled Rush. What were your expectations before listening to it?
After going from what the world tells you of, oh, it sounds a lot like Led Zeppelin, or it sounds a lot like the British stuff that was happening at the time, it was right, but then I made my own assumptions as well.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of Queen in there, very early Queen.
Yeah.
And also one of the tracks sounds like Comfortably Numb. I wonder where they got the idea from.
Yeah. So I wasn't really sure what to make of it before I hit play. The only song I'd heard was Working Man.
Right, okay.
That was the only one
Yes.
that I'd heard from the first album, and I was expecting a whole album of Working Man, but it was actually quite different.
It totally was. In fact, Working Man is the bit at the end where you go, gosh, what an album, I want to listen to it again.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, it's not all a track of that track at all. No, absolutely not.
And there were all these little moments that signalled to where the band was going to go. There were all these little Rush-isms that were starting to poke through. Maybe in just an introduction, there was one song that had this really cool little intro, and I thought, oh, this is cool. And then it went to something totally different, but later Rush would have just made a song out of that one weird intro bit.
I found it was all very major pentatonic, in the sense of those scary little odd notes that we like in the prog world weren't there yet. And it, obviously it was very restricted, sort of drum-wise, very typical blues. But I don't think it was missing anything. But they wouldn't have been the same band had they carried on the way they did.
Alex Lifeson, the one-finger riff monster. There was a lot of Tony Iommi in there, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a lot of early Black Sabbath in there, and a lot of Jimmy Page, that sort of one and two finger riffing, that one-string riff sort of thing.
But with that classic, just ever so slightly out of time double track as well. It made it sound like the Paranoid album very much.
I think it sounds a few years older than it actually is as well. 1974. It sounds like it could be from the late 60s, doesn't it? It's got that sort of energy to it.
True. I find for them to say that it just sounds like British music at the time is a bit unfair. They very much hold their own. And I tell you what, there's a lot of balls in there. I mean, it's probably one of the balliest times I've heard Captain Geddy there, and I don't understand where it went. It changed a bit of balls, but
that's definitely the intro right there. That's the ballsiest I've heard Captain Geddy. They'll clip that one bit out for the beginning. That's gonna be funny. I tell you what, the one area of this album which I was not a big fan, where I felt like it really lagged behind, was the lyrics.
They were all very, come on babe, oh yeah, girl. We know for a fact they were not those sort of people.
Like the very first track, Geddy just goes, oh yeah, like 5 times in a row, and I was by the 5th one, I was just a bit embarrassed. I was just a bit like, this isn't right, do you know what I mean?
I just want to know what's happening at 8:30. What is it after? What after?
And again, there's a lot of Robert Plant-isms, there's a lot of Roger Daltrey-isms. He's not found his own style of singing yet.
Well, he's it's very Whitesnake in that respect, where if there are no words to be said, make a noise. It's very much one of those.
Fill that space. It's very much a sort of... We've got to talk about the biggest elephant in the room, and that is the drumming. Obviously, Neil Peart was not part of the band yet. It was John Rutsey behind the kit, school friend of Geddy and Alex, who was one of the founding members of Rush. And controversially, I didn't mind his drumming. I thought it suited the songs really well. It didn't feel like it was lacking anything.
That's exactly what I mean. They didn't hold it back. It didn't take away from anything. But if they'd have carried on in that way, they would have been pretty stagnant pretty quick. It wasn't moving. The whole album starts here and it stays there. Even the quiet songs are still, at that sort of level. And a lot of that is because of the drums. It's just straight ball. Not necessarily lack of dynamics, but you just know where he's going to go every time. Whether that's typical of the music we like or not, or if it is just predictable. Sounded smart then.
But I think the whole thing comes together for Working Man.
And the album art is just classic, simple. And if I'd have seen that when they first come, bloody hell, I want that straight away.
I mean, again, when you look at the contemporaries of the day, like the sleeves of Led Zeppelin, it fits alongside that canon, doesn't it? That sort of slightly chaotic, really simple, just sort of, and the sort of pink colour on the text, just perfect, isn't it? I'd hasten to say the cover is more iconic than the songs on the album.
That font, as well, that rushes in, And I mean, if it's one, but I feel, do you believe that the chance that this came out because that one song Working Man was played on a particular radio station in a particular state in America during a particular time, do you think if that hadn't have happened it still would have progressed as it did?
I think so. I think it would have just taken longer.
Yes.
And I think it helped them along because the record company then were like, oh, do another one. You know, it helped the cause along having a hit early on, you know.
Absolutely. And if you like Led Zeppelin, you can't make fun of Get It Lee.
Yeah.
You just can't. You're wrong.
So what are you giving the album out of 10?
I'm going to give it, I don't want it to sound too far forward for the start, but a solid 6, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
I'm putting it on again. I liked every single track. It hits certain spots, but if I want to listen to Rush, it's not that.
And I tell you what, it's a party album.
True.
Like we say,
background
albums when you've got people over. It's a background album in the way that Moving Pictures and 2112 are not background albums because they're so in your face and so atmospheric.
If I want straightforward rock with balls in, that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If we need more complex, we'll go to the Stranglers.
Yeah. So next week we've got Fly By Night.
Here we go.
The introduction of Neil Peart. At the first sort of Rush album.
And it's gonna be a few of them are gonna be new ones on me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you very much for watching Road to Rush. Comment below your favourite song from Rush's debut album. What do you think of John Rutsey's drumming? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. We'll be back next week for Fly By Night.
Hey!